Welcome to What She Does, the podcast that takes you inside the working lives of everyday women shaping the world around us. I'm Leanne Starr.
And I'm Annie Sinzinger. And each week, we sit down with someone who shows us not just what she does, but how and why she does it. Plus, find out if you fit the same mold to grab the same type of gig. Let's discover
What She Does, starting now.
She started her first company while at Wharton, served as a COO of a startup that Microsoft acquired, and participated in Y Combinator's Imagine K-12. Then she became a mom and decided she wanted to build something just for kids. Lydia Hall is the venture lead and co-founder of Aqua by Adobe, a free creativity app for children ages 4 to 12. She pitched the idea directly to Adobe's executives, built a startup within one of the world's biggest creative companies, and is now watching kids around the world turn blank pages into art museums, fashion lines, and 3D worlds of their own. She's a Forbes 30 Under 30 alum, a certified sailing coach, and a founder who'll tell you her career looks like a series of car crashes and means it as a compliment.
Our guest today is Lydia Hall, who is a venture lead at Adobe and is behind the kids app Aqua. And welcome, Lydia.
Thank you for having me.
And my first question for you is, what is a venture lead?
Adobe has this incubator program where they incubate new ventures, new products. And so it's effectively a startup founder within a big company is a venture lead.
Ah, okay. Good. Now we know. So, can you tell us a little bit about Aqua? Because it seems super cute.
Thank you. Yeah, Aqua is a kids app. It's for kids ages 4 to 12. It's a creativity app. So you can use it on iPhone, iPad, Android just came out. You can also go to the website aqua.adobe.com. And it's a place to draw, to create, to see your art in 3D, to build art museums, just lots of fun things to engage kids in art. And it's all completely free. It's, just a fun way to be creative.
I love that. You said art museums?
So you can build your own little art museum and you can take photos of your kids' art or they can take photos of their art and then arrange it and choose the music and the background paint colors and decorate the art museum. So
Ah,
So you're
okay.
creating some future museum curators out of
right?
this.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about role playing. So we have a fashion design island, a museum island. You get to role play as different creatives in that sense.
That's
Ah.
great.
So, how did you come to this particular path?
So I had been at Adobe for a few years, and before that had been an ed tech founder and had my own companies. But when I became a mom, I wanted to go and be at a big company. I mean, it's so overwhelming to do startup life as a parent and juggling all of that. And while I was at Adobe, I still had that startup itch of wanting to build something from the ground up. So approached the execs at Adobe and said, "Hey, we have all these amazing products. We have Photoshop and Fresco and Illustrator and Premiere Pro, all these very, complex creative professional tools. How can we bring it down to kids level to get them excited about creating?" And it started from that.
And how did you decide to move into tech and how did you get into tech?
So when I was in grad school, I was at UPenn for law and business school, and I did the Wharton Business Plan competition with an ed tech startup. This is like 14 years ago, and it ended up getting funded. We raised a few million, and just from there went from Philadelphia to San Francisco for an accelerator, and never looked back.
Can you talk a little bit about why was working at Adobe or working at a big tech company so attractive to you?
I mean, I think in general, when you're a parent, like you want to be able to have backup childcare for when a nanny calls out sick or your kids have a day off from school that doesn't line up with work. And so things like that that corporations have that are just much more supportive of families and having that in place, it allows you to go and be more productive because you have like my husband and I each get 20 days of backup childcare
Mm.
through the companies we work at. And so
Mm.
it's amazing just like the last minute being able to utilize that. And it's just you work on things that you know are going somewhere. I think it's very frustrating sometimes with startups where you put, like, so much time and effort into things that you're like, "I don't know if this is actually going anywhere," whereas when you're losing that time with your kids, you wanna make sure your time is being valued, and I always felt like with larger companies, you have a much more sense, like, this is going to keep going, like, I'm at Adobe, it's been around for 40 years. This is stable, this isn't the sort of, like, constant, churn that happens in the startup world.
And so do you have really regular hours, or are you putting in a 60-hour work week?
It depends on the week. So we go to a lot of conferences because we want to actually interact with
Mm.
educators and users. So I was in Tokyo 2 weeks ago for the launch of Aqua in Japan. There are, of course, those weeks that are not normal hours. But yeah, for the most part, you can do this. You can do a startup with more reasonable hours, and that's very forgiving.
What's your favorite part about being in startups?
The energy, and excitement around it. I mean, there's such a huge impact that you can have, and, um, the creativity and collaboration are also just it's so fun to be in the early days of something and to see how much you can get done in a short period of time.
Is there, like, a path for kids to learn about AI, or is that something you don't want?
We incorporate AI in a very light way. So you always have to start with your art. There's no typing and prompting and having something create the art for you. But once you've finished your drawing or your sketch, if you want to see it in your room as 3D, that's incorporating AI. If you want to see it in claymation style, so you can take a flat sketch and change it into a claymation material, you can do that. And we always make sure you're changing the texture and style so you can see it in origami style, but
Mhm.
nothing where it's just up leveling your existing art. I think that's where AI can be detrimental to young kids if they feel as though their art isn't good enough. So we've been very thoughtful of using AI to change the style versus just improving. I mean, we also pretty much everyone on the team has kids, so we're using
Oh,
this with our kids every day. And in that sense, we're being very, very thoughtful about how would we want to introduce our kids to AI.
Mm.
what have you learned from your kids using the app?
I mean, it depends. The different ages are different things. So one thing that's great about the app is that it grows with your kids. But with the younger kids, they want sort of more limited things to choose from versus the paradox of choice gets overwhelming. And older kids, they want to unlock everything. So we had to create a shell system where the more you create, the more shells you unlock that you earn so that you can unlock new features. And yeah, we just learned too that the blank page is sometimes the best thing that they wanna go to and that they don't need templates or they don't need to trace over. So in that sense, we had to make sure that, like, the blank paper was really easily discoverable, like a plus sign wasn't easy enough. We had to create a whole
Mm.
island around blank paper pier because, yeah, they wanted to just sometimes have the ability to do watercolor in the back of the car,
Mm.
and so they just wanted paper to be able to go and do, digital watercolor.
Your app is really interesting in the sense that you have a market that was untapped, essentially, and that you're providing a solution. When I think about the different apps that are available for kids, how do you get over the idea of, like, if kids wanted to do paper versus digital? Like, there's a tactile element that's sort of missing, I guess, when you go to digital, but how do you bridge those things?
Yeah, we're all about bridging analog and digital. We don't wanna replace analog, like, the tactile, the paper. So we have this one of the islands, they're all, like, fun names. So Capture Cove, where you're able to take a photo of your paper artwork, and bring that into your museum. The other
Oh.
thing we've heard a lot from kids is they are very protective of their pen and pencil drawings, and they're afraid of adding color and paint to it because they're still figuring out, how to use the paints in the right way.
Mm.
So we encourage them to draw with paper and pen, bring it in, and then use the digital watercolor, digital oil paints in order to add color to it and experiment it in with it that way. But it's not meant to be a replacement of paper and pencil and paper and pen time. This is it's a mobile art studio. It's great, in the back of the car on the go or when you want to,
Oh, yeah, yeah.
learn more digital drawing techniques. But we don't want it to replace, you know, the quality paper time.
As a venture lead, like, what does your typical week look like? I mean, if
Sure.
somebody was gonna go and say, "Okay, I wanna follow this path," what could they expect a work week to look like?
Sure. So it's a small team within Adobe. We're, I think, 15 full-time people working on this, and we operate like a small startup where we have Slack stand-ups every day, so you know what every single person is working on that day, and we try and do that so that there are fewer meetings, more just quick check-ins with people. Mondays are more focused on sort of like the intercompany things that are going on and also like the comms efforts. Tuesdays are more focused on design. We start the day with a long hour and a half design sync. Wednesdays are more for the vendors that we're working with. So when it comes to like app store ads, app store optimization, how we're doing search engine optimization with like all of our blogs, it's much more focused on that. Thursdays are the full team meetings. And Fridays seem to be the day where we're just picking up like all the scraps of everything that might have slipped through the rest of it. But we really try and have themes to each of our
Mm.
days so that what you're tackling in your inbox and efforts, and you're able to focus a little bit more on those specific pillars of the efforts.
And when you're creating something new, or what's the hardest decision you have to make when you're starting?
I think who you're working with is it's always
Mm.
the case
Mhm.
because it guides it so much. We were really lucky in that the original team we pitched with, we were able to get started pretty much immediately. And most of the team had come from various startup backgrounds at some point in their career. So we had that startup energy, even though we were in a large company. And that was huge for just building trust and the startup mindset of listening to the customer, being really close to the customer, which they're
Mhm.
kids. So focus grouping with a lot of kids. That's always the most important decision is who you surround yourself with.
Can you talk a little bit about focus grouping with kids? I'm trying to picture that and what that must be like.
Yeah, so it's a lot of, 1 or 2 kids in a session, so we'll either have siblings or an individual, and we would early on hand them the app or prototypes, and then also ask them to show us what other things that they were doing, what they were creating,
Mm.
and ask them for ideas, what they wanted to build. So pretty much everything that you see in the app came as suggestions from kids. They told us what they wanted. We knew that there was a gap in the market of very young drawing apps
Mm,
and then there's
yeah.
professional apps. So we wanted to understand for the kids who are frustrated of what they couldn't find, like what it is that they wanted to build.
Is the next step to do stuff for teenagers?
Yeah, so just to keep growing with the users and as
Yeah.
they grow, we're getting a lot of requests for more advanced features and functionality. So doing that, we're thinking about sort of okay, they can do fashion design. How do they now want to do their full magazines or see their full line of clothes? And for the comic books, how do they want to do full comic book creations and stories and write those? So thinking more and more about the sort of storytelling, and collections that they're able to do with all of their art as they grow.
So, thinking about the kids as you're growing with them and you're giving them new features, some of them may actually utilize these as portfolio pieces for future jobs. Like,
Mhm.
is that something that you think about, that transition happening all along the way, even within the Adobe kind of ecosystem, too?
Oh, 100%. So earlier today, I had a conversation with some of the people on the Fresco product, which is Adobe's
Mhm.
professional drawing platform, and we were talking about that. So right now users, when they log into Aqua, all the art they create, if they log into Fresco, which is also completely free, they'll see all of their art there.
Oh,
And so if they wanna go and, like, add layers and use more professional tools, they can do that there, and, yeah, we wanna make sure that we're facilitating that so they can build their professional portfolios.
ah,
What's the most surprising thing you found during your focus groups with the kids?
That's a great question. I mean, it's interesting just the ideas that they have. So many of the kids really wanted to build things with their friends and do things like design claw machines. So all of the objects they created, they want to like turn into 3D objects that they can pick up with a claw machine, which we're working on because it came up multiple times and other kids were like, yeah, let's do it.
Oh.
The K-pop was a big
Mm.
thing. So we did that. We were like, okay, well, how you want to design K-pop food? Like, okay, like how can we help you build out a K-pop kitchen? But yeah, the desire to co-create has been a really interesting thing that we're still sort of figuring out how to navigate that because we wanna make sure this is a safe environment. So right
mm,
now, we don't allow you to communicate with other people or do any sort of there's no
Mm.
social media or anything. So it's we're trying to balance the requests from kids with making sure it's a really safe space. And yeah, we'll get there.
since you mentioned the safe space, what is the biggest threat to parents right now in the tech space?
Another great question. I think in general, it's making sure that the things that your kids are using are keeping them safe. And for instance, we have Video Viewpoint where we have illustrators do tutorials for kids and they're all curated videos. But the reason that we added that was because we heard from parents that they don't feel like their kids are necessarily safe with just the random videos they're seeing on YouTube. When they say they want to watch an art tutorial, but they're like not sure who these people are who are teaching them and they can go down these YouTube rabbit holes. So things like that where yeah, we are worried about that as parents ourselves. Like, how do we really make sure it's a safe space that kids aren't ending up in a weird place?
What's an early mistake that you
Mm,
made or may have made that was a useful lesson for you today?
Great question. I think just like when you're in a startup, the people you surround yourself with, I think that's also true of investors. And I've seen really great startups early on get the wrong advisors or wrong investors and have a hard time figuring out cap tables and moving forward to scale because of that. So I think yeah, just being really thoughtful about that, about everyone you surround yourself with early on in startups is hugely important.
And what
mm.
kind of skills do you think are required for somebody to be good in your type of role?
I've been told tenacity is something that some people might say that to me in an almost like, "She's tenacious." Yeah, you need that because you need to bring people along and keep pushing in order to get things out the door.
If you were able to talk to your younger self, what would you say to her?
Uh, it's okay to fail. Looking back, I've had more than one career path change, and it almost looks like a series of car crashes that have become a career path. Um, yeah, I think just fail fast and don't worry about it too much. But it's something I think I did keep telling myself that, but I didn't necessarily listen, and it took me a while to actually accept that it's okay to do that.
You
That's
realized
great.
you said that you'd had car crashes. I'm so interested. Can you tell us about one of them that was, a big car crash?
Um, so I joined in another company, like, at a C-level, and really quickly just realized that, like, it was not a good fit because of yeah, what they were doing didn't align with the vision of it, and just had this panic of, "Oh my god, like, I walked away from my own startup to go and do this, and I don't believe in it." That
Mm.
sort of thing where it's like, it's okay. I mean, it all, like, works out, like, every single thing is a lesson, and yeah, I think I just any situation where I stayed in it for months longer than I needed to because I wanted to for instance, like, you have to stay at a company for a full 12 months to hit
Mhm.
your your vesting cliff. And I've done that where I've been like 12 months in one day. Um, I would just say, like, just go earlier. Like, you only live once. If you're feeling that way after 3 months, like, get out. You don't need to spend 12 months there. Like,
Uh,
they're probably not going to be making it if you feel that way so quickly.
that's a good point. What is the biggest takeaway for you of what are you most proud of creating?
I mean, it's yeah, I think we're so proud of Aqua and the response that we're getting where so many kids are sharing it with other kids, like sharing it, just telling them about it. And the incredible App Store reviews. We read those reviews every day. We get them funneled into our Slack, and so you can see the iOS reviews, and it melts my heart to just see people say like, "I love this, and this is why," and a million emojis. You can tell it's written by a kid, so that's a
Oh,
wonderful feeling.
Oh, that is so nice. Like,
yes.
the very people who are using it are the ones who are giving you that direct feedback every day. That is such a nice way to see the application of it.
So,
100%.
thank you so much for talking to us, Lydia. We've learned about your app and we've learned a lot. So thank you
We
so
learned a
much.
lot about you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you for having me on.
Start. So, uh, talking with Lydia, I think what was interesting to me is her background started out sort of in one direction, but then by pure chance, she entered a contest
Yeah.
while she was doing her MBA and wound up following a very entrepreneurial path to creating different tech
Yeah.
ventures. And so I think for somebody to kind of pursue this, they have to have a lot of different aspects like checked off,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I think so. The app itself seemed really fun.
Yeah, it was actually kind of
Yeah.
neat. I mean, to take her own experience as a mom and think
Mhm.
about how she can apply something. But I think what was also interesting to me about her journey is what she talked about in terms of being able to do that type of new venture or new creation
Mhm.
within a company. Which is different than other startups, where startups oftentimes wanna be separate. I think even, like, if you incubate some of these ideas in a company, there's a certain level of stability that comes with that.
Right.
You get vacation time, you get holidays, you get all these things that I think if you're doing a startup by yourself or with a group of people at the beginning, there's not a lot of that.
Yeah.
So, from a family standpoint, I think, it's quite an opportunity to be able to do this kind of work.
Yeah.
I mean,
Mhm.
there's a lot of different aspects that she seems to have to know to do this
Yeah.
type of work.
Yeah. There's it as fun and cute as the app was, there's still so much that goes into it. So much behind the scenes.
Thanks for joining us today. That's what she does, and maybe what you could do too. If you like what you heard, make sure you follow What She Does wherever you get your podcasts.